Wonder why they're broke. One of the reasons you're broke is because you're so focused on what you don't have. You want to stop being broke? Start being grateful for the stuff you have. Like all of us can do that. You may not be able to afford a car that's like your next door neighbor's car. You might not be able to afford to live in the house like your brother-in-law who you can't stand. But you can be thankful for the house you live in. Because everybody don't have a house.
That's right.
Okay. So, there's this story that shows us this so perfectly. I didn't realize I was going to stay here this long, but clearly somebody needs to hear this. There's this story in Genesis chapter 21. Pretty sure that's where it's at. Yeah. So in Genesis chapter 21, well, before Genesis chapter 21, let's go back to Genesis chapter 12. God tells this man named Abram, he says, hey, if you will leave your country and you will leave your family and you will leave your father's house and go to a land that I'm going to show you, not the land I've already shown you. Huh? I thought of so many funny things to say just then. Then I'm going to bless you in ways you can't bless yourself. I'm going to give you something you can't get yourself. I'm going to take the source of your shame and make it the source of your fame. And in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Abraham went to Sarah and said, Abram went to Sarai and said, hey, baby, we moving. But women have questions. Where are we going? I don't know. God said he showed me when we get there. Right. Hopefully my brother's got some sympathy for Brother Abram, right? Because he didn't have to answer to that question. Well, when are we leaving? Oh, we leaving in the morning. We're leaving in the morning and you don't know where we're going? Well, how will you know when we got there? Okay, and the less answers we have, can I get a witness, my brothers? The more questions they have, okay, I got a witness on the front row. What? Huh? So, they leave. 10 years, God said, I am going to give you a seed. I'm going to give you a child. Because Sarai, his wife, was barren. Anyway, fast forward, 10 years later, they don't have any child. Another 10 years go by, they don't have any child. Sarai gets this brilliant idea. She says, hey, Abram, you know that pretty little handmaid I got in there? Why don't you just go have a baby with her and we'll raise him like he's our own? He said, you sure, baby? Okay. All right, if you insist, I would have never thought of that, but if you say so. Right. See, we sometimes forget that they were human. These are real people. Right? Okay. Okay. So Abraham goes in, sure enough, she gets pregnant, has a child, named that baby Ishmael. About 12 years later, Sarah gets pregnant when she's 90. Abram's 100. I'm tired for both of them. What? I was in my 30s when my kids were young, right? Can you imagine being 93? Like, dealing with a 3-year-old? Anyway, maybe I'm seeing this in too much 3D. but you feel me? And then it says that one day Sarah, after their names were changed, Sarah saw Ishmael, the son of this bondwoman, mocking. Didn't say who he was mocking, didn't say what he was mocking, but my guess, based on mother-son relationships, Ishmael was mocking Isaac, and we ain't having it. Not you ain't gonna be making fun of my son. And so Sarah tells Abram, you get that woman and her son out my house. But baby, that was your idea. I ain't got nothing. I don't care nothing about that. They got to go. So that's where we're picking up the story. Y'all tracking? Okay. And I hope y'all understand. I'm not being disrespectful to the word. I'm helping you understand that this was an emotional situation for some real people just like us. Can I get a witness? Okay. They went through some stuff. Okay, verse 21:14. Here it is. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread. and a bottle of water, and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away, and she departed, and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Wilderness. See, in America, when we hear wilderness, we think about a forest, we got all these trees, we got little streams. The wilderness in the Bible was the desert. So let me help you understand what's happening here. Gave her a loaf of bread and a bottle of water for her and their son, and sent them out into the desert. Wow. Okay, y'all tracking? Oh, that's colder than a sub-zero refrigerator. So, and Abraham rose up early in the morning. Okay, I already read that part. They wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Verse 15. And the water was spent in the bottle. Nuh-uh. Some of it they drank, the rest of it evaporated. They in the desert. The water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat her down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. And she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Because while mama was crying, the boy was praying. Why? Probably because his father Abram, the father of the faithful, taught his son how to pray. And God heard the voice of the lad. And the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what you crying about? What kind of question is that for an angel? He said, what aileth thee, Hagar? What kind of question is that? You got a mama in the desert with a young child and no water. And you talking about what you crying about? So if he's asking that question, clearly there has to be a reason it's not ridiculous. Because at first glance, it seems utterly ridiculous. And we're only on the first of the 7 points. For God hath heard the voice. What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. I want you to notice these next 5 words. And God opened her eyes. Wait, what? And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. What just happened? That was quick. I thought we was in the desert. See, the bottle was empty. But when you have a well that's full, and you're focused on a bottle that's empty, it brings tears to your eyes. And I'm telling you, regardless of your dire circumstance, I'm not discounting that you're going through something. But what I am saying is while you're going through something, there's something in front of you that you are missing because you're focused on what is missing. What does that tell us? God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water. What does that tell us about the well of water? It was already there. It didn't say, and while she wasn't looking, the angel digged a well and filled it up with water. It didn't say that. Now we're laughing, but this happened to a real person. It didn't say, and God miraculously put a well of water there. It doesn't say that. God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So the well of water was already there while she was crying. The well of water was there before she was there. But guess what? She couldn't see the well of water in front of her eyes because of the water that was welling up in her eyes. And sometimes you can't see the resource that's in front of you because of the lack of resourcefulness that is in you. Okay. You want to do something that's really going to change your life? Stop focusing on what's missing. Stop buying into the idea, or should I call it the idea, that just because you don't have what you think you need doesn't mean means you don't have anything. Stop buying that idea. Just because you don't have what you think you need means you don't have anything. See, she thought she needed water in the bottle. But I'd rather have water in a well than water in a bottle. Because a well will hold more water than a bottle. So, 7 things you stop doing. If you don't want to be broke anymore, stop focusing on lack. And if you do focus on lack, start focusing on what other people are missing so you can figure out a way to get it to them and have them pay you. That is the only way I know of to benefit from focusing on something that's missing.